good late afternoon, church. Thank you for staying afterwards. I got two great guys from the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Jim Dunlap and Deputy Troy Patterson here to give the active shooter presentation here a role. I just want to say thank you very much for coming out to and volunteering your time after work to come out and do this. It should be fun.
We're usually loud enough, we bark quite a bit at work. So first of all, I want to say thank you for letting us in. This is something very passionate to me and Troy and quite a few other people in our department. Unfortunately, it is a trend in the world. So we'll do our spiel. Feel free to ask any question you want. If I don't know it, or we don't know it, we're not going to lie. I'll try to find it and get it to Jeff to get back to you guys, and we'll go from there. I've been a deputy sheriff now for 24 years in the department. I was blessed to do almost all my time out on patrol. A little bit about me. I'm the executive officer of our SWAT team. I've been teaching active shooting for 10 years. I'm in charge of our K-9 unit. And I'm moving off of the street in a month. Don't say anything. I got yelled, I got offered a job. I took it. Ooh, I know. Depends on the day. It might be a good move, it might not be. But like I was talking with gang down there, I did it for my family. My family has lived with shift life for 24 years. And both my kids are gone. And in September, so now it's time to spend time with my wife. Either we'll be divorced in no time or we'll have the greatest thing ever. Well, you know, in this field, it's different. You know, we spend a lot of time apart. And family's important to everybody on our team, but sometimes the job does take precedence over, especially in this stuff. The job takes priority over family. And I was blessed, my wife understands. For that, I'll let you, Troy.
I was just asked 19 years on Wednesday, so I am currently on patrol. Jim is my shift boss, same with Jeff. I work with Jeff. I couldn't ask for a greater guy to work with and a real good friend, so thank you for having us come out.
Except for the year you pulled up lame.
Yeah. Hopping around the office.
I gotta keep on ducking while I still can.
I'm not part of SWAT, but I'm part of our mobile field force unit. So we handle crowd management, emergency disaster type situations in the contract cities in the northern part of the county. Whether it's RNC stuff or marches through the city, we help out St. Paul with that or wherever that's needed. Patrol, I started doing this active shooter training here the last couple of years. I've personally been in a few situations where I've been able to utilize this, and like Jim said, it's kind of passionate. It's a passion for us to come out here and show you guys what to expect when things like this happen or how to prepare yourself. So I think that's about it.
First of all, does everybody know the difference between? No. Do you want a quick little down and dirty?
Yes.
Here's the difference. This is my jurisdiction. This is what Ramsey County looks like. St. Paul is like that. We are mandated by law to do certain things that police officers are not. We have all the powers of a police officer, but we have more on top of it. We have to maintain a jail. We have to protect the courts. We have to protect the waterways of the county. We have to execute felony warrants. We also have to do civil process. We are fortunate, we have a big patrol area. We have 6 contract cities, basically almost all in northern Ramsey County, contracts with us to be their police agency. So, in a down and dirty, that's the difference. My jurisdiction is the whole county, whereas like White Bear Lake only has White Bear Lake. We can go in there, technically they cannot come out to us. Does that make sense? Okay.
So yeah, like federal agencies, like state patrol, they can go anywhere in the state, and then the deputies can go anywhere in their counties and city. So you see how the city
And we wear brown and they have to wear blue.
Yes.
Because brown is way cooler.
Yes.
It's all about camouflage, right?
Yes.
All right, with that, roll it up.
Active shooter response, we've been doing this since about 2011, and we've trained well over, I'd say we're up into 1,000 now, police officers and deputy sheriffs throughout Minnesota, and at least this metro area. Sometimes we'll get people from outstate to come down and help. And so these are some of the agencies that kind of started out with us in teaching this. Most of them are from Ramsey County. It's been a multi-agency collaborative between these agencies here when it first started. I think we're pretty much solely doing it ourselves now.
Yeah, most people ask us if we're doing stuff, and if we ever are, we have lately been on a big kick of doing them. The military has asked us a lot to do them every year. The minute we do that, we put the word out, come learn, come work with us. The whole goal of this is every agency will be together. In an active shooting incident, everybody and their mom's coming. We're going down to St. Paul, St. Paul's coming out to us. So we all know the same basic techniques. So we all work together.
Kind of a historical overview. We've learned a lot of things. You know, it basically started with Columbine. Everybody familiar with Columbine, what happened in Colorado? How we react to things today really started then. The type of equipment we use, the type of response we have, and how we train everybody, and whether it's you folks or us, it's all kind of born out of that Columbine situation in Colorado. We train the tactical movements, and when we do train, we try and do a reality-based type training where we use simunitions, which we can replace normal ammunition in our firearms with basically paintballs, mini paintballs that we can shoot out of regular guns. And that's how we make it reality-based. You may have seen last year, about this time last year, we did a large-scale exercise up at the Army Reserve Center in Arden Hills. And multi-agency, multi-fire, we tried to run it as real as it could be to really expose people to what to expect and I have them understand that stress level involved with everything. And you can plan as much as you want, but it never ends up being the way you plan. So this video here is, you know, if you were involved in something, this is what you're going to kind of expect to see when we arrive. If we know that somebody's in the building and it's actively going on, we're going straight to that. And if there's people that are wounded and they see us come through and we don't stop to help, it's not because we don't want to, it's because we want to get in there and eliminate the threat as soon as possible to get them to stop doing what they're doing.
You can go ahead, Ed.
And then what we're going to do is have people come through behind us to help with the rescue efforts afterwards. This is kind of what you're going to see if you end up being in a situation like this. And in this scenario, the officers, deputies are moving around and they get flanked from behind by a shooter and they have to react to it.
We do most of our trainings in school, and the reason is, one, in the summer they're empty, and two, they're built to take a beating. So that's why we tended to go to schools. But fortunately for us, we've been blessed with, we've got office buildings now that want us to come in and train with them. Because the advantage is cops in the buildings knowing what it's like. Sorry.
Going to be in these type of situations, and how should you respond in a situation like this? Okay, what's the best thing for you folks to do? I already kind of talked about Combine, I guess. Got ahead of myself. So I basically, to build off that, we train to move, because if that threat's eliminated, they're not hurting anybody anymore. So that's the first few officers that arrive. That's their sole priority, is to get in there and figure out who's doing these things and eliminate that from the situation. Whether it's they give up or we have to use deadly force. This or the history of this at all? It's a while ago already, 1997. These two guys went into a bank and were gonna rob a bank. Their intentions weren't to have an active shooter type situation, but they wanted to move in to rob this bank. But when they came out, they were met by law enforcement, LAPD at the time, and they wounded 13 people in that incident, police and civilian people. And the one suspect committed suicide, and the other one was killed by SWAT officers that were responding. This scenario is what really drove us to start using rifles in our patrol cars and moving away from shotguns. Because these two had rifles that they were using, and it was just whistling through squad cars, and they were wearing body armor that pistols couldn't penetrate. Those LAPD officers were going into local gun shop and getting rifles to use during this incident to try and compete with what they were up against. And they even basically took an armored car from one of the armored car companies out there and used that to help get into the area and rescue people. Now, that's one of the reasons why we use armored vehicles as well, because we need something that's going to stop rifle ammunition, and we can also use them as a defensive tactic to get in and rescue people when we're still under fire. And that's one of our big reasons for wanting to maintain that. Pushed us forward in moving towards an active shooter training setup for the public and for us. I don't usually like using their names because I don't believe they deserve to use their names in public anymore. But they had actually set up LP gas bombs in the school. Some kind of went off, some didn't. Luckily, the bigger ones didn't go off. But
When law enforcement responded to this, we set up a perimeter, we negotiate. Well, how do you negotiate with guys that are still walking around shooting people? It doesn't happen. We took a lot of heat, justifiably so. They did what they were trained to do, but once this occurred, we knew that we had to change our training. There's a 60-minute story out there, and a mom in there goes, all my daughter had to do to defend herself had a pencil, and you had a gun. Well, that puts it right there in a nutshell. I mean, we get paid a minimal amount of money to go in and go for this, but that's what we signed up to do. High school kids didn't sign up for that. So it changed everything and how law enforcement views it. Yes, sir.
So would you say that
We learn by mistakes, much like the military. Military changes tactics when things go bad. This was a horrendous incident that went bad, and we went, how do we do this better? And that's when we decided, okay, you know what? After this, we went, hey, first 4 guys get there, you team up and you go in. Number 5, you started getting more teams and bringing in things. The reason for is we're going in now faster than we used to. It's changed since Columbine, because what we found was shooting is coming down in time.
and now that we're saying the first one in goes, you know.
I say he, and we'll cover that in a little bit. They know that if I go in, what are they doing? They're focusing on me. They're not focusing on anybody else.
And one of the things we'll talk about later is we've learned that until recently, this was the most deadliest situation that had ever occurred in the United States. 32 people were killed, 29 wounded. There's basically 2 crime scenes. He started at a dorm room. He killed some friends of his in the dorm room, and then moved on to the campus, the rest of the campus.
There was 3 SWAT teams on this campus after the first shooting. I don't know if you guys remember, but went to the post office, mailed his manifesto off to the press, went over to the next building. Sorry to see you.
No, I actually prefer this better.
What he did was, he ended up chaining the doors, so cops couldn't get in.
And this was another thing we had to learn from and we have to prepare for now. We'll talk about is how do we get in once they do that. It really hampered our response. Now we talk about just driving SWAT cars through doors. What's more important, the building or people inside? And SWAT cars. SWAT cars, that's just a tool that we can use to get inside to help people. I went on other locations. So he fires 170 rounds from 2 pistols basically when he gets back to the campus in 9 minutes, and kills roughly 30 people in 9 minutes. And that's why it's so important that what we've learned and understand other options, not waiting for teams, and just if it's me and I'm the only one there, I'm going in looking for where the problem is.
Last shot heard in this was him taking himself. That's a pretty common occurrence.
Inside, now we carry bolt cutters and crowbars and sledgehammers in all of our squad cars in Ramsey County. At least with the sheriff's office, I can't speak for St. Paul and the other agencies, but all of our frontline patrol squads in the sheriff's contract cities all have sledgehammers, crowbars, and bolt cutters just for this exact city review here. The sheriff also felt it was important that we all had hard armor that could stop rifle rounds, so all of our squad cars as well have hard armor. With Missouri,
This slide is really mostly just to show you that, you know what, it's not in schools. It happens at town hall meetings. It does happen in churches. That's really, this slide is just up there so you kind of, it's everywhere. But with that also being said, statistically speaking, you look at how many public domains are across the United States, the percentage of a shooting going on is so minimal that this isn't the, ooh, we gotta live in fear kind of a speech. It's just informative. The odds of you getting into an active shooting incident are very, very, very minimal.
we're going to talk about signs later too, so areas are so rare that it's good to be informed and watch for the signs is what pay attention for us to know what to report. We have a criminal sexual misconduct case. Wasn't happy with how the prosecuting attorney handled things, so we went out to his car, got a pistol, came back into the courthouse. This was a little bit before we really started putting metal detectors in pretty much all the courthouses these days. And went in and wounded the prosecutor, like taken into custody after that. But he later died because of flu-like symptoms in the hospital. A couple years later, or 10 days later. Oslo, Norway. This one's pretty horrific. This was more politically motivated than anything over there. And he started off with bombs in Oslo, downtown Oslo, basically a political youth camp on an island over there, and started killing children.
He was dressed as a cop.
Yes.
He'd go to this side of the building, hey, run over to this side of the island, hey, I'm the police, come on out, it's all good, and then start shooting them.
Yeah. This one's probably one of the more horrific ones that I've seen. He was so evil. But he surrendered to the police, and he's still to this day making a lot of political statements about what his cause was.
He only received 21 years in prison for killing that many people. But under Norwegian law, that was the most they could give. Yeah, it's kind of incredible, isn't it?
Batman, he had also started, so as we change our techniques, they're changing theirs as well. We're kind of our worst enemy because we're bringing you this information and what we do, but they're also paying attention to what we do and change. He walks into the movie theater, props the back door of the movie theater, and comes in, throws some tear gas, came in with a gas mask on, created a distraction and just started firing. Luckily, he had bought a large drum magazine. Was it a drum magazine?
100-round drum magazine.
And he had basically overfilled it.
It jammed,
And it jammed.
When he started shooting, it jammed, which saved how many lives, I couldn't even tell you. They thought it was part of the movie. They thought it was a prop. You think about some of the stuff you go to nowadays, I mean, is it that far off of making the movie as realistic as possible? No, it's not. But he took advantage of it.
And he gave up. Is this the one where he was so appreciative of how well he was treated that he actually told them about the bombs he set up in his apartment? So even as mad as we are about what these people have done, we have to think about the investigation and things down the road, because he had booby-trapped his entire apartment with bombs. So he was appreciative of how law enforcement had treated him, so he told them about them so nobody else would get hurt, luckily. So, smart cops. We're going to hear now is the audio response to this. It's not all that great. It's a little pitchy, loud, high pitch, but it gives you a good idea of what we are hearing and the mass confusion that we're trying to sort through when we're hearing these things come to us and we're trying to respond. This just kind of gives it a good idea of that.
58 people wounded. Cops are our worst enemies. We drive right up, right in front of it. You know what we did? Between all the bodies coming out and us coming in. And actually this was, never it's a perfect storm, but this was a perfect storm in this city. It was right at shift change. So they had a lot of cops right there, right now. And I believe the police station was about 4 miles from this place. And it was at midnight, so the highways were clear. There was 3 level 1 trauma centers within 6 miles, I believe. And so for a perfect storm, cops bottlenecked the whole thing up. Fire and ambulance couldn't get to them. So cops started driving their squad cars behind the building, putting people in squad cars and just driving to whichever center they went to. Anybody that was transported by a cop alive survived. 1 squad car, we know for sure, transported 3 bodies. They all lived, 3 different trips. You talk to some people, blood was like swashing in the squad cars. I mean, it's horrific. But what this taught us was, one, we need to get out of the way so medics can get in there and kind of clear paths, but it is our goal to start transporting victims within the first 10 minutes. So we are now teaching you hunt and you evacuate.
Most people die from blood loss during these situations. They aren't necessarily killed initially, but they die from blood loss. So our goal is to get in and get them out as soon as possible they receive medical attention to stop it as quickly as we can. This is another situation where we learned too many cop cars pulled out up front and the ambulances couldn't get through. So we're really, at our last training, we've really been hitting this hard. But he was terminated, went out to his car, got a pistol, came back in, and killed 6 people, wounded 2, and then committed suicide as officers responded.
Just happened on the other side of the river. So it's everywhere.
But it was a domestic situation. That doesn't mean just because it's a domestic situation, some of these people stop there either. So it's good to see the signs and know I need to say something. After this was probably another one of the most horrific ones because it involves such small children. I think half of the police department in Sandy Hook is gone because of PTSD. They just couldn't stay anymore.
The doors were locked to go into the school. You know what he did? He shot the window off and then came in and started doing his stuff. His mom, he had
Asperger's.
Yeah, and his mom's connection with him was to go out shooting, and which, I don't know, good, bad, or indifferent. So he killed his mom, and then went to the school, and for whatever reason, did what he had to do. I think one of our commanders talked to some guys out there, and they would not let cops go into the room. It was that bad that they were everybody in there. But even if you're doing the right things, sometimes they can still get through. You just got to be aware of it.
This gentleman had a long-standing dispute with the city over property rights. And he decided to finally go, there's property rights and other things, law enforcement contacts that he had. Finally went in, showed up with a shotgun. He picked the wrong day though, because New Hope was swearing in, I think, 4 brand new police officers. So the place was filled with cops. One brand new police officer was wounded, another veteran was wounded, and he was ultimately killed by the officers in the building. So a very unstable guy, and he just chose the wrong day. Really. I mean, luckily he picked the wrong day for everybody else at the city hall. So people ask, well, what kind of person do I got to look out for? Who is the shooter? Out of all these pictures, can you pick out out of all these people, who do you think would be the shooters?
Virginia Tech shooter.
Every single one of these was an active shooter. These two right here, 12 and 13. They were mad about, I can't remember what they were mad about, a girl or something like that. And So they went into the school, pulled the fire alarms, ran back out, took sniper positions, and then shot at all the kids coming out. And we have a slide for that one?
This was actually pre-Columbine.
Yeah, this is pre-Columbine too. So for us, we had to start wrapping our heads around, when we respond to these things, we may have to shoot a child. No, we never even had that concept of that. You know, you got these young kids showing up, how are we gonna stop them? We're not gonna show up and try and negotiate with them in the hope that they stop. So that concept really started to hit home with us when we started teaching these things. Elementary school, so they killed 5 and wounded 10. Mr. Roberts took over in our school. He had some issues with pedophilia and assaulted some girls before killing everybody. These aren't immune to these type of situations. I'm trying to think if we had one locally that was the same way, other than the Red Lake kid.
I mean, by all lines, clean-cut kid, right?
Yeah, one slide that's missing here is Cold Spring. Cold Spring High School also had an incident where a kid walked into the high school and did the same thing. So. Lessons learned, that they're spontaneous. There is no warning. We don't have any type of technology we can use to watch Twitter and Facebook, and those things help when people tell us about them, but we really don't have the resources to constantly watch those things. So that's why you guys are so important when it comes to saying, hey, my daughter, my son's child, his friend is putting all these things on social media. It really worries me, and then you getting in contact with us and saying, hey, I think somebody needs to kind of talk to this kid about it. Those type of things are important to us and are really a huge value to how we deal with these situations. So your help's so important. Their behavior's unpredictable. It's gotten to a point where it's so unpredictable when these situations arise. Negotiations really aren't a reality. Target-rich environments, some places where they're going to make the most impact for their decisions that they make. Large groups of people.
An active shooter is all about body count. It's about nothing more, nothing less. If Troy was mad at his wife and he came to work and shot her and then killed himself, is that an active shooter? No, it's just a murder-suicide.
Not going to midnight right now, she's not.
There might be a murder, but active shooters want a big body count. Believe it or not, they all want to make the chart and be the guy. And I say guy just because statistically speaking, it's a male that does the shooting. There are females out there that know.
In the early days, we were outgunned and we didn't have the training, so that's what we're trying to do now, is really put everybody on the same page and train across agencies, so we all kind of have an idea of what we want to work on together. We work on tactical intervention and how we respond tactically to the calls. Multi-jurisdictional response, like I just said, we want everybody that comes to the scene to be on the same page, even if they come from North St. Paul or Washington County, whoever it is. We want everybody to kind of know what everybody's plans are, so we can get in there, get it done quickly, and we don't have to sit here and coach everybody up before we go. Active shooter, yeah, and the implementations of patrol rifles to allow us to get those long range shots in. By the numbers, I think some of these are starting to change a little bit. I don't know how old these are, but it's still close. At this time when this was made, there was, out of the 202 active shooter incidences, 98% of them were carried out by one person. So,
I actually think that stat still holds true.
46% died violently by law enforcement or private security or others willing to help out, permit to carry holders, things like that. And we've been seeing a lot of that over the last few months, where private permit carry holders have actually been helping out police officers that people have been trying to actually harm or kill. 40% of attackers died by suicide. So it's almost a 50-50 split. That's what we mean about the unpredictability of it. We don't know whether they're going to take their own lives or they're going to make us do it for them. So we're not there to help them decide. We're there to just get it over with so they're not hurting other people. Majority of them, they don't have a surrender plan. They're just going to go in there and do what they want to do and see what happens. Their intent is to achieve as many affect as many people's lives as they can. Where? Yeah, where? But this is age group.
So what this chart
Oh, I
is,
see. Colors at the top.
if you look, the green is a school. On the bottom, it's ages. Can you see all right? I know I put on a couple extra ounces, so I apologize. On the bottom is ages, and in the graph, it's schools, warehouses, buildings, and other. Other might be a mall. But if you look towards the bottom, the left is young. Where are they doing their shooting at? Schools. That's what's causing angst in their life. As you get older, it slowly transitions into office buildings and work, because that's where your angst is causing the problems in life. So, and I think that there's actually one 85 to 89-year-old guy there. I think he shot up an old folks home. Don't know why though.
FBI study of 160 incidents in 2000 and 2013. On average, there's just over 11 active shooter incidences every year between those years. Casualties was over 1,000 in that same amount of time. Were killed is 160 incidences were 486 and incidents annually. You can see that they kind of, 2010s it really peaked that year, like 26, but it's come down, but not to a respectable amount. It's still something that's got to be back in the mind. One thing I do want to add though is places like Israel have been dealing with this stuff, how to respond and handle these situations. And I think we're taking a little bit from them because of the, not only the active shooter incidences that involve our own people, but as well as the terrorist incidences that we've had recently over the last few years. So we're really borrowing from everybody that we can to learn more about how to respond. So.
And that's what we preach. Odds are it'll be done by the time we get in there. So,
Because they know we're coming, and they know
the one thing about that chart though is it's becoming more frequent than it did 10 years ago. And part of it is news is everywhere, so everything is more abundant. I don't know if that's the reasoning, but it is on a slight increase. All right, initial law enforcement response. We teach what we call the priorities of life, and Jeff can attest to it. I hammer it into my guys all the time. That's somebody being shot, somebody in a room with my bad guy. That's my number one priority. Number two is innocent bystanders. That might be just anybody that's around it, not actively there. Does that make sense? We actually code it two different ways. Then it becomes cops, and then it's our guy. We don't have it on this slide, and I put it way down at the bottom, is property. A lot of people get upset if property is broken. I don't care. I will do whatever it takes. That, in an active shooting incident, is everything to me. And that is above me. So that means I have to give my life to get them out and save them. And property is way here. So if I have to destroy a building to get to these people, to save them, I will destroy a building. I'll destroy my squad car. We preach it, and I believe it or not, I actually kind of live my life by all this. I don't rank my kid higher than me, but some days, depending on the day when the report card comes in, he drops. In the middle of the semester, he's way up there. But with that also being said, is if our suspect is in a room by himself, where are we? We're above him. We're not going to sacrifice ourselves to get to him. We'll slow it down. We'll negotiate with this individual. We'll try to get him to come to us. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on it? Or are we just rambling on way too long for you? Our responses, we're going to get there like we've been preaching. When we get there, we're going to get there fast as we can. And I'm telling you, out in the county, I would say within a minute. we bypass it. If you're involved, God forbid you're involved in one of these, but we are moving to the shooter. So if you're laying there and you're shot in the leg and you're okay, I'm bypassing you, so be prepared for that. I might say, hey, help's on the way, but I'm going that way. Is that something's going on that way? Just be prepared for that. We go right to this gunfire. If there's no gunfire, we stop, we build teams, and now we start hunting for this individual. Because either he took himself, or he's holed up somewhere, but we will find him, I guarantee it.
And then we're also coordinating the rescue efforts at that point, bringing teams in, getting people. We're on a simultaneous effort.
The resolution, it's gonna be stopped by a street guy. They are no longer SWAT incidents like people think they might be. SWAT will be involved, but SWAT will be after it's all done, and then we'll go searching through the building. Systematically, on the off chance that there is another one in there, but like I said, typically it's one person.
Jeff and I are on mobile field force, and then we get coffee for SWAT.
SWAT's the best, sorry. We're properly equipped. We are blessed, and the sheriff's department is blessed that the old sheriff, the just recently departed sheriff, and our current sheriff take this up very seriously. If we come in and we say, hey, this helps the public, we need these in our cars, boom, they're there. I have a whole bag. We carried additional ammunition on top of that, because what we found was, what I carry right now is not nearly enough to do what I need to get done. I've been blessed to go to a couple schools, and one was a multi-assailant. So I literally got to do a rolling gun battle for about 50 minutes. And I found out that, well, I don't carry enough. I had to call timeout, reload everything up, and,
That's just
but
because you suck every load. That's just because you suck every load.
well, no, I limited what I had. But I went out and I bought my own bag. I carry probably another 400 rounds in my car. It might be just practice ammo, but I don't care. But what we also did was with our ballistic vests that we have, we've got them now that they carry them on top of that too. And our guys train to carry that stuff. Upon entry, noise, screaming. Remember the Aurora, Colorado thing? Sirens will be going on. Fire alarms will be going off. We teach our guys fully expect that, because what's the easiest way to get a bunch of people come to one building? Yank the fire alarm. And I don't blame anybody for doing that. Victims hiding, confused, frightened, they will be. You're gonna come to us. Don't be upset if we use some superlative words to get you to move. You all right? He's all good. Here, you want this? Fear causes people to do things that they don't know what they're going to do, and nobody really knows how to act when they're in fear. We might swear at you to get you moving the way we need you to get you moving. Don't be offended by it. It's only just trying to help. Sometimes, I've got a guy on my crew that sometimes I might have to slap him just to bring him back down a notch. He just gets ramped up. That guy right there is all about the panic. Last guy to call, right there. Carnage. These people are out for body counts. You're going to see blood everywhere. Columbine, they said that the water was that deep and it was red because the fire alarms were going, the sprinkler systems were going in blood. Or, there you go, sprinklers. Or you might hear nothing. What do we teach you kids in school? Exactly. Lockdown. Be as quiet as you can. So we expect to hear nothing. One of the guys that does this, we had a incident that really was nothing but they locked down a school up in our county. And he comes barreling in because he was having a Big Mac. And he went down, he goes, nobody's went down this area. He's walking down a hallway, dead quiet. He could not hear a peep. And he's like, it's one of the eeriest feelings in the world. But we have to be ready for it.
And some of you might probably work in large office buildings too. Do you think that if you're on one side of the building, you may hear shooting?
There's another one. What else could be happening? There's another one. Oh my God. How many shots was that?
One male down in the Pottery Barn. Suspect is down.
Look at the people in this. There's a whole different dynamic of what goes on with stress. This is the one you got to help me with, right?
The gunman took hostages and started shooting before turning that gun on himself. He did die, but miraculously no one else was injured, and it was all caught on tape. Juju Chase, here are the details. Here, Juju.
Well, George, you know, we can all agree it's truly jaw-dropping video. A camera is left recording as an extraordinary hostage drama plays out in Panama City. Now, we must warn our viewers to use discretion if there are children around. The video is graphic and disturbing, but bear in mind, no one is hurt except the gunman. It was an ordinary school board meeting until Clay Duke took the floor. He spray paints a red V on the wall and clears out the room.
Everybody in this room.
56-year-old Duke claims to be upset because the board fired his wife. He pulls out a gun. The women and children scramble as news cameras inside capture the chaos. In a heroic attempt to stop Duke, school board member Ginger Littleton actually comes back into the room and whacks Duke defiantly with her purse. School board superintendent Bill Husfeld tries to convince the gunman to let the others go.
Will you let them go? I mean, but you're obviously upset at me. So why are they here? You're part of what? Sir, I don't know what you were in.
The two men argue. Husfeld, with steel in his voice, has the presence of mind to try to calm the armed, agitated man.
I don't want anybody to get hurt, and I've got a feeling that what you want is the cops to come in and kill you because you're mad, because you say you're going to die today. But why? This isn't worth it. This is a problem. Please don't. Please don't. Please.
At this point, Duke fires the weapon, but remember, he misses and no one is hurt. He misses every time. Security guard Mike Jones fires at Duke off screen. We will not show you the final moments as Duke fatally shoots himself in the head.
Mike, but not real. I think it's... He had caps, Mike.
But police say it was live ammunition. Duke has had run-ins with the law before. In 1999, he was charged with aggravated stalking and served 4 years in jail. Duke's Facebook page features the same logo from the movie V for Vendetta that was spray painted on the wall and rails against the wealthy.
So stress does things. After a little bit here, I'll explain something else. But so you see what I mean by people act different in stress. You might have video. It's called Run, Hide, Fight. It does a great job of explaining in the civilian world what you really should look for and what to do. All this stuff that we're doing, all the stuff we have in here is, you can find it on the net anywhere.
It may feel like just another day at the office, but occasionally, life feels more like an action movie than reality. The authorities are working hard to protect you and to protect our public spaces. But sometimes bad people do bad things. Their motivations are different. The warning signs may vary, but the devastating effects are the same. And unfortunately, you need to be prepared for the worst. If you were ever to find yourself in the middle of an active shooter event, your survival may depend on whether or not you have a plan. The plan doesn't have to be complicated. There are 3 things you could do that make a difference. Run, hide, fight. First and foremost, If you can get out, do. Always try and escape or evacuate, even when others insist on staying. Encourage others to leave with you, but don't let them slow you down with indecision. Remember what's important, you, not your stuff. Leave your belongings behind and try to find a way to get out safely. Trying to get yourself out of harm's way needs to be your #1 priority. Once you are out of the line of fire, try to prevent others from walking into the danger zone and call 911. If you can't get out safely, you need to find a place to hide. Act quickly and quietly. Try to secure your hiding place the best you can. Turn out lights, and if possible, remember to lock doors. Silence your ringer and vibration mode on your cell phone. And if you can't find a safe room or closet, try to conceal yourself behind large objects that may protect you. Do your best to remain quiet and calm. As a last resort, if your life is at risk, whether you are alone or working together as a group, fight. Act with aggression. Improvise weapons. Disarm him. And commit to taking the shooter down, no matter what. Try to be aware of your environment. Always have an exit plan. Know that in an incident like this, victims are generally chosen randomly. The event is unpredictable and may evolve quickly. The first responders on the scene are not there to evacuate or tend to the injured. They are well trained and are there to stop the shooter. Your actions can make a difference for your safety and survival. Be aware and be prepared. And if you find yourself facing an active shooter, there are 3 key things you need to remember to survive. Run, hide, fight.
The city of Houston, they got federal grant money to put that on. I thought they did a very good job. As a kid, what's the fire department teach us? Exactly. So run, hide, fight kind of rolls right with that. And they do a nice job. Run, have an escape route. Always, like when you guys come to church, you probably come in the same door all the time. Do you ever just take a couple seconds to go, it's like I've already known there's a way out, I can get out there. I believe that door goes down into those steps, right? Take a couple minutes. It seems strange, but no alternate routes. At work, you know your office might be right next to this stairwell. Have you ever thought about another stairwell to get out? Or another door to get out? Take a couple minutes and pick it up. There's a video, I believe in Mumbai, of a mall shooting. What's that? I know it's like a duh, but you look at, if you're at work or any places, find places that you can hide. That might be all you get is to hide. Stay out of the view. A lot of places have glass, like schools nowadays, all their doors tend to have a little glass window on the side. You notice what they're starting to do? Put like paper artwork on there. What's it do? You can't see in, because when you decide to fight, you are in it for your life. And you need to be with that mentality that you are going to take this person out at all costs. There's no clean fighting in this game. Look around what you got. Just looking in here, I got a speaker, a mic, guitar, drumsticks, this, laptops. There's no clean fighting in this game. If you got a stapler, use a stapler. I mean, a pen, pencil. If it comes to that, like in the video, and then you got to kind of quiet down the one person who is the loud mouth back there. She's making racket. It's just bringing the guy to you. Remains calm. We're not calm. We're trying to be calm. I guarantee you're not calm. But try to do the best you can. Listen to our instructions. If you got something in your hand, just drop it. Raise your hands, spread your fingers, keep everything visible the best that you can. We may stop you, like Troy said earlier. Hey, did you see the I might go, hey, did you see the shooter? Yeah. What kind of gun does he have? He's got a gun this big. He's got a gun this big. Well, what's that tell me? Rifle, handgun. I don't care if it's a Ruger 9mm or a Mossberg shotgun. All I care about is if it's long and short. Okay? Avoid quick movements, like avoid pointing, screaming, and yelling. We're training our guys. That's going to be a natural response. I'm pretty sure people are going to be coming up with, he went that way, he's that way. It's natural. We train our guys to pay attention to that. But just remember, it's a bad day for everybody going in. Don't stop to ask the officers for help or directions. We'll tell you. We'll definitely go, hey, go that. And odds are, if I'm going this way, if you go that way, opposite of me, it's probably safer. Okay? And then provide that information as we request it. Number of shooters, and called in and said there's 7 guys over there with guns. So I mean, information coming to us will be confusing. If you absolutely know 100% positive, but don't take note of the exits. Believe it or not, when I go to the mall, I kind of look around. What is I'm not going to say every, what does the vast majority of all mall businesses have on the back end of it? Yes, a door into a hallway that usually they supply. Any questions? Anything's involved, you can ask anything you want.